you
Right.
mentioned a word earlier too, David. Talking about remission of her Hansen's or her leprosy. And so, one of the terms that you've brought out when discussing diabetic foot ulcers is this concept of remission. First of all, a lot of people don't understand, what that diabetic foot ulcer really represents. And to us here on our panel, we all get it. That is not only the pathway to amputation, but you've been such an important driving force of this message that it's really a marker for a lot of other things. 5-year mortality rates, as we know, are really bleak compared to other forms of cancers. But, it's that concept too of remission. When we get that diabetic foot ulcer healed, is it really healed, or are we in remission? So I want you to just talk a little bit on that.
Sure. Well, it's funny. I just thought about this now that we're in the doctor's lounge, and one of my strongest memories as a kid was I just thought about this now, was being in the doctor's lounge with my pop. And it was this very subject. Let me tell you, Ed, I don't know if my pop passed away about 15 years ago, but I don't know if the other characters in this drama did. But I had just gotten out of a surgery with my dad, and I had just done a triple arthrodesis. My dad did, and I said, "Oh my God, this is like the greatest thing ever." And I was like a second-year student. I didn't even know one end of the freaking thing from the other, but I got to do a little bit, and I thought, boy, oof. I'm like, it was really chest thumping. And so I'm sitting there, with the scrubs on, and I got my mask kind of halfway down, appropriate position and everything. I'm just kind of sitting in there decompressing with my pop, and my pop's in there with his friend and our family friend, a guy named Dave Book. Dave Book and Marge Elfring were two orthopedists in our town I kind of grew up with. And my dad kind of sees me sort of kind of gloating or something or other, or being kind of hubristic. I don't know what he saw. He just saw a big head or a head getting bigger somehow. And I think, and he looked over at Dave Book and he said, Dave, because Dave was looking at the x-ray, we were talking about the case. And he said, God, I'll take 20 ingrown toenails for every one of these cases. and I'm thinking to my dad, what the hell? Well, don't, that's crazy. How could you possibly do that? Dave Book doesn't even understand that. You're just belittling this whole specialty of yours to Dave, who's like this bone doctor. What the heck? And Dave Book kind of smiles and says, I understand what you mean. Because Dave says, what he said at the time was that, you do one of these cases and you're married to Ms. Garcia for the rest of her life. And,
right.
And, at the time that kind of discussion in the doctor's lounge, for me, I was like just a little kid, was really impactful. But I kind of, over a long period of time, it's sort of flipped on its head, because now I sort of do the opposite, because I am married to those patients, and like we all are, because what I know now, what I didn't know then, was, first of all, sometimes the best surgery is the one you never did, God knows. And the other thing is, nothing ruins a good surgery like follow-up, right? And doesn't matter what you do. Follow-up will, every repair is going to go down eventually, unless your patient goes down before that repair goes down. And so maybe a little more humility rather than hubris as we try to teach our residents and fellows and trainees when you're at the end of the body. But can we really fix anyone, or is really our goal just to help, as you said, Des, kind of help folks move through the world a little bit better? And to that end, just as you said, we've done a lot of work in the area over a lot of years. So many, you for sure, God knows, have led the way in this, but studies that we've done have shown that after, with the best available data, after you heal someone with a diabetic foot ulcer, about 40% are going to have another ulcer in the next year, about 2/3 in 3 years, and about, give or take, 3/4 in 5 years. So recurrence is not only common in this population, even with the best available therapies, and there are a lot of therapies that are improving this, but recurrence is likely. So maybe we shouldn't say that we heal anyone, right? And so maybe we ought to change, maybe we ought to change the dialogue so that that's why we use that term remission.
Thank you so much for joining us for this discussion today. If you would like to learn more about our guests, head on over to our Patreon page where you can access exclusive content, including the full segment of our show. Never want to miss an Inside the Doctor's Lounge clip? Be sure to click the subscribe button to our MD Coach's YouTube channel. As always, we appreciate suggestions for future show topics. Let us know what you're thinking in the comments below. And finally, special thanks to Ryan Jones, who created and performs our theme music for the show.